Hello children. So till now we learnt about the uses of microorganisms, lactobacillus bacteria, and use of fungi, I mean yeast. And another thing is yeast as commercial purposes, that means for producing in large quantity and for sales and for commercial benefits. Now the next thing is, in medicine also microorganisms are useful. Medicinal purposes. Medicinal. What are the uses of, how can we use microorganisms which are actually harmful in medicines? Yes, we use microorganisms. How do we use is, there are certain microorganisms which can be extracted, which can be used to kill other microorganisms. Some microorganisms can be used to kill other microorganisms. Now we need to know which are these microorganisms which can kill the harmful microorganisms. We don't want the microorganisms to kill the useful microorganisms, right? Now for example, you got a very severe injury. You were riding a bicycle, you fell down, you grazed your knee very badly, and you go to the doctor noticed that not only the skin but most part of the flesh is also removed. So you need a dressing will be given, fine, but will it automatically heal by itself? What if dust falls on that, and then septic and all that, if it doesn't heal quickly? So for healing they give kind of, and so that other microorganisms will not act on that and it will not get any kind of other problems, and the wound is kept always clean. What is used is betadine is used. Betadine will clean away any microorganisms present, but from inside also combating should be there. The fighting against the microorganisms should be there. So the doctor prescribes antibiotics. Antibiotics. The name itself implies that it is microorganisms. Antibiotics. What does it do? It will, when the antibiotics are taken, then it will go and accumulate in the area and see that no microorganisms will infect the wound from inside or outside. And these antibiotics, let me make it clear to you, should not be prescribed by everybody or anybody. Only a registered doctor can do the prescription, and only on proper prescription you should be using that. Too much use of antibiotics in our body is also very harmful, because I told you antibiotics main purpose is to kill microorganisms. If it is used without proper prescription, the microorganisms which are useful to us also may get killed. So be very careful about how you are using the antibiotics. And how are these antibiotics produced? For this we need to always remember and thank Alexander Fleming. Alexander Fleming. Alexander Fleming is the first person who noticed that he is the discoverer of penicillium. So first let us see how many types of antibiotics are there. We have streptomycin, penicillin, erythromycin, and then what else, like that you have so many. Let me see, penicillin, tetracycline, streptomycin, tetracycline, all these are antibiotics. And in your textbook they have mentioned something, children. Once you see here, antibiotics should be prescribed only by the qualified doctor, and antibiotics without consulting a qualified doctor, it may harm us. And unnecessary use of antibiotics affect the blood cells which fight against infection. What are the blood cells which fight against infection for us? The white blood cells. If they are destroyed by this unnecessarily used antibiotics, we are in grave danger. and then sometimes they may kill useful microorganisms. That's why we have to resist using antibiotics unnecessarily which are not prescribed by a qualified doctor. And now coming to Alexander Fleming. Now what did Alexander Fleming notice? He noticed that he was experimenting on bacteria. He had a petri dish full of cultured bacteria, and this is like almost like a story. You read it later, children. Now this cultured bacteria, when he was going on observing, in one of the petri dishes, the bacteria is not noticed anymore. He remembers that in all the petri dishes, usually scientists means what they do, uniform petri dishes and so many experiments, the same way they'll do, right? So he also had all the petri dishes filled with bacteria. He had all the petri dishes filled with bacteria, but when he started observing one of the petri dish, in that bacteria are not there. How is it possible? He did not do anything to that. Then what happened to the bacteria? Then he noticed that a kind of fungus is growing on that. He noticed that on that a kind of fungus is growing, and that fungus completely destroyed the bacteria. So he can't simply, by seeing one petri dish like that, he cannot simply declare that yes, this fungus has killed this bacteria. So what he did, he took a small bit of that and again he tried on another petri dish which had bacteria. Again he noticed that the bacteria are completely killed. Then he noticed, and what killed what? Penicillium. Penicillium is a type of fungi. We learnt in our previous lesson. How is it? It is like almost like a bunch, cluster of flowers like this. It will be like this. And this penicillium is fungus. And when it is growing on bacteria, it is killing some of the bacteria. Then he understood that he can take an extract of the penicillium and convert it into penicillium powder. And in olden days, what they used to do is, in a bottle, penicillin powder will be there, and distilled water. Whenever they want to inject, whenever a child is suffering with any kind of infection, septic, for example, septic, in those days, septic is really a problematic problem because it was not curable. And they used many things, but it was not quick enough. But it was like a wonder medicine. Later it is called as wonder medicine because within no time, that powder, when it is added with the distilled water and it is taken into the injection syringe and given to the patient recovered so fast. This says that the medicine is a wonder medicine. And who discovered that? Alexander Fleming. What is the name given to that? Penicillin. And from where did he extract that? Penicillium. Penicillium is what? Fungus, a kind of microorganism belonging to fungus. Now let us see. If you observe in the textbook, page number 38, Penicillium notatum. What did they say about it? Is in petri dish, the bacteria disappeared where penicillium is there. So he removed that in 1929. When did he announce that? He announced that in 1929. From there became very too many researchers, and many scientists have started showing lot of interest, like how to use a microorganism to kill another microorganism. In that process of researches and studies and all that, what came out is different kinds of antibiotics which can kill the harmful microorganism, but always be careful that you are taking them only in the proper limit, which in concern with the qualified doctor. And now let us see, inventor of aureomycin. Children, we should be very proud. He is from our Andhra, Dr. Yellapragada Subbarao Garu. He is from Godavari district, and he discovered aureomycin, or we call it as tetracycline, which cures number of bacterial diseases. We need to remember another person. He is from our Andhra. That's why we need to remember much more with pride. Dr. Yellapragada Subbarao. Yellapragada Subbarao. He discovered aureomycin, which is also called as tetracycline. tetracycline, not just one problem. Most of the bacterial problems can be solved by using tetracycline. And he is from Godavari districts, children. So that is about another scientist that we need to know about. And we learnt about antibiotics. Antibiotics are extractions from microorganisms. Now we are going to learn about vaccines. When we learn about vaccine, the first person we get to remember is Edward Jenner. Whom do we remember? We remember about Edward Jenner. Edward Jenner, he created the vaccine for smallpox. And on whom did he try it first? He tried on his own child. Smallpox was a very deadly disease in those days, and it was every government, every country made and took huge major steps to eradicate that, because the disease itself was if anybody is contacting the problem, because it is very quickly contagious, the contacted person is not permitted to live in the homes or in the town or in the places of other people dwelling. So it was like a misery for a family, it was a misery for everyone also. So we will learn about this vaccine and how Edward Jenner or who else have made so many discoveries about the vaccines in our next session tomorrow. Thank you, children. Have a good day.